And welcome to another episode of the 5-Star Revolution podcast. I am your fearless leader, Vic Muscat. With me today, about time he got back, is the 6-star general of the show, CJ Price. CJ, welcome back.
Thank you so much, brother. I was in Cancun on vacation. Sorry I couldn't join you last week, but I'm back. And we have a very special guest today, former TNA wrestler and currently wrestling on NWA Powerrr, Sal Rinauro.
Hey guys, so much for having me. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed we're going to start off this podcast with lies because you're not sorry you went to Cancun. Nobody's ever sorry they went to Cancun. No, I can't. It's great to be here. I'm really excited.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And I know Vic has a lot of questions for you. I have a lot of questions for you. So go ahead, take it away, Vic.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, Sal, what's your earliest memory in professional wrestling? Like as a
yeah, so wrestling's been my one constant. I mean, I can't remember a time that there wasn't something involving me being a fan of wrestling. Far back I can remember, one of my earliest memories watching Bam Bam Bigelow do the headbutt, and I don't remember against who or what. I mean, it was probably a challenge or a superstars, or it was babyface Bam Bam in the mid '80s, and that's just like one of the first things I can remember in life is that the falling headbutt. It's just kind of wrestling's always been a part of me. Like I can't, there's never been a time where I didn't see myself involved in pro wrestling. I tell this story all the time. I remember vividly in first grade, the teacher goes around the class, what are you going to be when you grow up, little Timmy? And little Timmy's going to be an astronaut. And what about you, little Susie? And little Susie's going to be a dinosaur, And what are you going to be, little Sal? I'm going to be a pro wrestler. And the teacher goes, oh, yeah. Little Susie's got a better shot of being a dinosaur than you do being a pro wrestler. That was, and like I said, it's just, wrestling's been attached with me from day one, pretty much.
So what were some of your favorite wrestlers while you were growing up? Was Bam Bam Bigelow one of them?
Yeah, well, no, not really. I mean, I'm an 80s baby. I born and raised in California. We had every WWE syndicated show. I mean, I was a Hogan kid. How could you not be? I mean, if you're a wrestling fan and you were under 10 and it's the 80s, Hogan was your guy. But I was also like, Hogan's the guy that pulled me in. Savage is the guy that kept me. And it was just, he was so unique. I mean, I was so fascinated that he always had different gear on. He always had different glasses. His interview style was just so different. This is all stuff I've realized as I've gotten older. As a kid, I was just like, this is my dude. But like going back and studying him, like Randy Savage had so many different layers, like he was literally an onion in one promo. In one promo, he could be yelling and screaming and mad and then crying and then laughing and then crazy. And it's just like, man, you don't know what you're going to get with this dude. But like, there's something that you had to see. Hulk Hogan was pretty much Hulk Hogan. What you saw is what you got. That's not a knock. I mean, brother made $1 or $2. So I think he figured out what he could do. But, like I said, Hogan's the guy that got me in. Savage is the guy that kept me. And it was off to the races from there.
What's your favorite Macho Man Savage match?
So I'm a big fan of sleeper matches. Obviously anybody that's seen WrestleMania 3, like you can't not watch that match. You go, oh yeah, those guys are on. Those guys are going full boogie that night. But there is a match, and I think it's either on a Best of Shawn Michaels DVD or a Best of Macho Man DVD, where it's Shawn versus Macho in like France. And it's later in his WWE run, Macho Man, but it's like 20 minutes long. And it's fantastic. And that's one of those matches that like when people talk about Randy Savage, I always try to point them to that because it's so diverse. And it's, like Savage is the guy that kept me. Shawn's my guy. Like, I will forever say Shawn Michaels is the best pro wrestler I've ever seen live. I was at WrestleMania 12. Like, that was like, that's the boyhood dream. But like, I remember sitting in the crowd that night, losing my ever loving mind, because this is the dude I saw as a rocker and saw as, throw Marty through a window and all the, become Diesel's second. And I always related with Shawn just because he was a smaller dude. So to see him finally get there, but Savage and Michaels, like I said, I think it's either France or Germany. It's just spectacular. It's just so good.
How heartbroken were you in WrestleMania 5 when Hogan had to face Randy Savage?
So it's that whole storyline is kind of where, as a wrestling fan, I learned what heartbreak was. Because I couldn't pick a side. And I was, at the time I was maybe 7, 8. I think it was 7. And I just couldn't understand, like, well, why is Macho Man doing this? Like, I don't do anything wrong, but still, like, man, Macho Man's pretty cool. I don't like that he's beating up Hulk Hogan, but he's still Macho Man, and he's that dude. So, like, I was so torn between all of it. Then, and it's funny, just going forward, like, because I know a lot of my friends, it's the next year they experienced with Hogan Warrior, where they're like, I don't know what side to pick. I like Warrior, but like Hogan's Hogan, but I like Warrior. Yeah. And I didn't care. Like, whatever. At that point, I just wanted to see Macho Man beat up Dusty Rhodes, So like, I was completely separated. But at 6, Warrior beats Hogan, and I was like, man, that ain't cool. And then at 7, Warrior retires Savage, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I like Ultimate Warrior. Out for me, and that ain't right.
So what's your training like as a professional wrestler?
So I tell people all the time, especially the kids that I help train now, do as I say, not as I did. Like I said, I always knew it was just kind of pro wrestling or bust for me. There was never a plan B. There was never a backup plan. I was just going to be in pro wrestling. So at 13, I found a show that was running bi-weekly at the Boys and Girls Club, 3 blocks from my. And so I, oh my God, it's 3 blocks. I'll walk. So I used to walk every other week to the Boys and Girls Club, watch the show. And sometimes there was 15 people there. Sometimes there's 100 people there, whatever, but I got to know people, and they said, oh, well, if you show up early, maybe we'll let you put up the ring. Like, oh my God, yeah. So show starts at 6. I'm there at 11. I'm beating everybody there because I just, like I said, even at 13, I knew, like, this is what I had to do with my life. So, like, they let me set up the ring. They let me put up the chairs. They let me sell hot dogs, and they let me sell tickets, and they let me put out programs. Like, and I'm, I couldn't be happier because I'm involved in pro wrestling. And then after about 6 months of that, you'd get the ring up and say, hey, well, do you want to get in the ring? Oh my God, it's the only one it. Of course I want to get in the ring. So, 13, 14-year-old me, I'm in the ring and I'm hitting ropes and climbing up the top rope. And guys would kind of, hey, well, I'm working on a new move. Do you mind if I do it on you? Mind? I'll pay you to do it, So, like, that's how I learned how to bump, was guys not wanting to bump other guys. And there's some idiotic teenager in the ring that's more than happy to take whatever they had to deliver. So, I mean, that's how I learned. And then, so like, that's how I learned how to bump properly. And then like stuff like chain wrestling and stuff, I just learned by osmosis, like I knew how to collar and elbow tie up before I knew it was called the collar and elbow tie up. It's just something that I'd seen 800 million times before. So when somebody finally wanted to do it, I was ready. I'd been collar and elbow tie up with the Invisible Man for 100 years at that point. And wrist lock and top wrist locks and you know, fireman's carries and hammer locks and all that. I would do to nobody, you know. I would just be in a corner, you know. Here we go, yeah. So, I was never technically properly trained. I just, I kind of right place, right time, willing to do anything to be in pro wrestling.
So I have a couple questions for you, Sal. I read somewhere that you used to be in WCW as well. Is that true?
No, well, so that's a rumor I started. So in 1998, I was I had just turned 15, and I had a couple matches at that indie promotion in California. But at that time, I was also already on my own. Like I'd been kicked out of my house. My dad wasn't involved, and my mother just didn't adjust to raising a son, I guess. So she booted me. So I was on my own and just kind of staying at different friends' houses and this, that, and the third. And then I had found out that out in Georgia, my grandmother had gotten really ill, and she was taking care of my grandfather who had Parkinson's disease. So I said, screw it. I'll just, you know, like any 15-year-old with a brain, I said, oh, well, I'll just move to Georgia and get signed by WCW. That just makes all the sense in the world, right? That's how easy it is, right? You just move to Georgia, you get signed by WCW. I'm a cruiserweight. They'll love me. I'm 15. So I load up the truck and I move out to Georgia. Well, at the time, NWA Wildside was a subsidiary of WCW. It wasn't officially a developmental at the time. That didn't come later. But once I got here, I got on at Wildside, and through them, I got to do a couple things, you know, backstage and stuff like that. Nothing glamorous, but I genuinely believe had WCW stayed up and running maybe 2 more years, I think I would have gotten into those classes.
Okay.
Just because they, it was a convenience thing for them more than anything. You know, I was local to the Atlanta area. I could make all the syndicated tapings and stuff like that. Plus, Terry Taylor was down at Wildside a lot. Him and I kind of hit it off. So, especially for my age. So, I genuinely believe had they not been bought out in 01, if WCW was still a thing 03, 04, I probably would have at least had a couple Saturday night matches.
And from there, you moved on to TNA. So can you talk a little bit about your experience in TNA?
Yeah. So, I mean, TNA was kind of just like a spinoff of what the WCW thing was. Like when TNA was founded, Bill Behrens, who was running Wildside, had a lot of, he was the NWA representative for NWA TNA. So like he had Jarrett's ear. So I was just sharing this story a couple days ago that like I was booked as an extra for the first TNA pay-per-view. So I was there in Birmingham. I was backstage, you know, Harley Race, Ricky Steamboat, like all these guys and me. It's like, something's not right here, but I'm say a word. But I was fortunate enough to, you know, a lot of times I was just the right body in the right place. And then as guys got to know me, guys were like, oh, well, Sal's good. We could just throw Sal in that spot. You know, like there were many times where like 3 Live Crew, who were like the staples of Explosion, they're like, oh, we'll just put Sal and 2 other people. And then 3 Live Crew would be like, hey, Sal, let this guy and this guy know what we're doing tonight. We'll be back. Oh, and I get whatever 2 were like, all right, hey, here's the deal. Road Dogg will do the jib jab duck. You know, you touch out, you eat this from Conan, touch me in, zip, zap, zip. throw the line at Crush. He'll do the up and over, come out, deal, we'll go home. And that kind of became a rinse, wash, repeat thing for a little bit, where it was an ongoing gag. Where I was like, one of these days, I'm going to get the two right guys and we'll crack that 3 Live Crew code. But, you know, I mean, TNA was, you know, especially those early Nashville were so like, I'm amongst my heroes. Like I was, as a kid, I was a huge Jeff Jarrett guy. Like I'm such a big fan. I mean, the brother had blinking lights on his gear. What was I supposed to not fall in love with that? You know, so getting to just be associated with something Jeff Jarrett was in charge of, and you know, like getting critiques from Jarrett was, you know, and just all those guys, you know, like I grew up on Jarrett and Road Dogg and Conan and you know, just all, there was so many legends that would come in, you know, where it's just like, oh my God, oh, this guy too. Like it was so cool. And like on to add to that, like when I came into Wildside was right as AJ and Air Paris were getting ready to go to WCW. Okay. So I knew AJ before the world knew AJ. And so getting to kind of be front row watching AJ's career just skyrocket. It was, you know, but like also to be able to pull him aside and talk to him about ideas or my match or just whatever was super, super cool to have like this weird blend of guys I looked up to and also peers. It was a really, really cool experience.
I'm glad you had a great time in TNA. And one more question before I let Vic take it over. Can you talk about how you got into NWA Powerrr and how's your experience in NWA Powerrr now?
So I have a hard time even wrapping my brain around my NWA Powerrr experience because it's surreal is an understatement. Every day I wake up, it's still like, oh, this is still a thing. This is a real life happening. I didn't book this in my brain and make it up and then wake up. Like, no. You know, when they announced the NWA Powerrr thing, at that point, I had already kind of walked away and then come back to pro wrestling. I actually, in I guess it was 2010, I never said the word retired because I hate that term. Nobody
retires.
Why even say it? You know, like I never said, well, this is going to be my last match and I'm done. But I was very cognizant of, even in 2010, like at that point, I had been Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion. I'd been to Japan. I'd wrestled for WWE. I'd wrestled for TNA. Like I'm 5'7" and $170. Like I did way more than I ever should have. Like I was very much at peace. And my fear was I didn't want to be that bitter old guy that I'd been in locker rooms with. That was like, oh, pro wrestling owes me. And, you know, I got screwed by the man. But I just did not want to be that guy. So 2010, my youngest son was being born. And I kind of just, I'm not going to be on the road anymore. I'm not going to hustle for the bookings. I'm just going to step back and become dad. And sure enough, you know, so I wasn't hustling for bookings. So I would take a date here or there, but nothing big. And my son was born, and then I had a daughter. Well, in the midst of that, I actually got on with TNA. They brought me in to basically be Don West's replacement on the merchandise side of things. So I would travel to all the house shows, and, you know, at intermission, you know, I'm the one, I'm Pied Piper leading the fans to the merchandise stand so they can go get their 8x10 of Velvet Sky, or their, you know, go get your RVD tank top or things like that. You know, that was just kind of my gig. And it was cool because I didn't have to get beat up and I was part of the business. And I was at peace. I was happy. And then when I saw that they weren't re-signing AJ and letting AJ walk, I said, "Oh no, the writing's on the wall. Like this has been a good run, but I don't think it's going to last much longer." And at the time, I had just started looking for a house in Nashville. The whole family and I were going to move up to Nashville so I could be in the office every day. But when I saw that AJ wasn't getting re-signed, I said, I think money's about to get dry around here. So I went ahead and put in my resignation and said thank you. And sure enough, within 2 months, house shows stopped, which would have been, where my money was coming from anyway. So thank God I had that foresight. And then I got home and I got anxious, and I had a buddy who runs a show right down the road from me. And every once in a while, he would call me up and go, "Hey, I got this kid I want you to work with. He's good, but he just needs guidance." "No, man, I'm good. I'm not wrestling right now." 10 days later, "Hey, man, I got this guy. He's good." No, I'm good. And this went on for like 3 months until finally one day I said, "Well, okay, what I'm going to do is I'll just give him a price that's way too high." And he'll say no. And I'll say, "Okay, well, we tried." And that would be the end of it. So I gave him a number and he goes, "Okay, I'll see you on the 20th. God dang it. Kind of hard to justify not going 10 minutes down the road to make, a pretty good buck. So at the time I was still married to my now ex. And I told her, like, "Hey, here's the deal, blah, 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 blah." And she said, "Well, you need new gear." No. That's not how this works. I'm going to go make a quick buck, give this kid a match, wash my hands of it. She's like, "Oh, so many people, just call around. I'm pretty sure you can get something." Okay. So Rick Michaels, who does like the gear, he did gear for WWE. He runs Global WrestleWear now, and he does all sorts of top guy stuff. I called him. I'd known him forever. I said, "Hey, Rick, here's the deal. I just need something easy. I got an idea. What's the brother price?" "Oh, I won't charge you." I said, "Oh, that's absolutely perfect." And he goes, "Yeah, just do a shot on the 21st, and we'll call it even." I said, "Oh no." So like now I'm booked back-to-back days. I haven't had a booking in 2 years. And so I tell people all the time I blinked and I got sucked right back in. But the time off gave me perspective, and it wasn't like I have to make pro wrestling my living or else nobody eats. Well, I'm going to wrestle. I'm going to do stuff to make my kids to be over with my kids, and I'll just do local stuff so I can be home every night. But I kind of still kept my finger on the pulse. So when I heard NWA was going to do their first set of power tapings in Atlanta, I knew Bill Behrens from, I never lost touch with Bill. And, I still had done some shots for him here and there. So I reached out to Bill because I knew Bill was going to be involved. Said, "Hey, Bill, just a friendly reminder. I'm local and really, really good at pro wrestling, just in case something happens." So this is 2 months before the tape. "Oh, I'll keep you in mind." I don't hear a word. No harm, no foul. I know I tried. Well, the first set of tapings were on a Monday and a Tuesday. The Friday prior to that, I get a text from Bill. "Hey, are you available Monday?" "I am now." So he's like, "Yeah, if you can, we'll bring you in on Monday for the power stuff. If that's cool, I'll be there." So I get there, and there's a lot of familiar faces, just guys I've known throughout the years. I mean, so Colt Cabana was there at the time. Colt Cabana, myself, and Daniel Bryan did the Wrestling Road Diaries. We traveled with ROH for years together. Colt Cabana's a really good friend of mine. So like, hey, there's Cabana over there. Crimson, who was an agent there. Just a bunch of guys that I knew. And Dave Lagana, who was also a writer for Ring of Honor when they got the HDNet deal, was was writing the TV. So, you know, like there's all these familiar faces. So when I walk in, you know, Bill's kind of, you know, here's the deal, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's cool. What am I doing? And he gives me the card. First match, first show. It's the Dawson twins versus X and Y. And he goes, you're X or you're Y. You get first choice. Well, all right, man, cool. Like, I don't care. Like, so Crimson, who I mentioned, is the agent for our match. Well, when he comes to pull the match together, you know, he's got the same run sheet I have. Dawson's versus X and Y. So he's talking directly to the Dawsons and not the two pieces of meat that the Dawsons are eating alive. So he's just giving them the rundown. Hey, you know, we're kind of looking for this. You know, maybe you get this. Sal? Hey, what's up, man? What are you doing here? Oh, I'm either X or Y. I'll let you pick. And like his whole direction then shifted from talking to the Dawsons to telling me what they need so I could put it together. And he's like, well, you're here all night? It's like, yeah, man. Well, what do I do? One match is going? Like, yeah, I'm here, man. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to use you again. Do you have more than one set of gear? Yeah. Oh, even better. Of course you do. You're a pro. I got you're in at least 2 matches tonight. Just be ready. Okay, man. Nice. And that was it for me. You know, like I got to go home and tell the kids, hey, I'm on this show. I'm the very first match of Powerrr. Like that was enough for me. I was going to hang my hat on it and call it a day. If they used me later on down the road, they used me. Well, the next day I'm not booked. I don't go, you know, nobody tells me to be there. So I'm not there, you know, not an anger thing or anything. It's just, I'm not booked and I have to go to work. Life is the thing, right. Unfortunately. So I'm at work and my phone, it's like 2:30, 3 o'clock. My phone starts blowing up. Hey, where are you? Hey, where are you? Man, work, where are you? Oh, you're not at the studios today? I wasn't booked. I didn't, you know, I wasn't just going to show up, you know, like I wasn't booked. It's, you know, oh, well, we should have booked you. I was like, well, I try to make it. I'll be late. They're like, don't worry about it this time, but just know every time there's a show, just plan on being there unless you're told not to be there. Okay. So, and that's kind of how the Powerrr deal came about, where I was literally booked 2 days before. And now like, I'm in this prominent role that like, if you would have told me at the beginning of 2019, like, hey, like you're going to be featured in this prominent role with the NWA, like I would have laughed at you. And like, here it is, where like I get phone calls from Billy Corgan, which like that sentence shouldn't be like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, every time, like I still refer to him as Billy Corgan. It's never just Billy, or you know, like it's always the full name. Oh yeah, Billy Corgan. But like my phone rings and I see his name, and I'm just like, I still have to process all of it. Or just like the last set of tapings, I wrestled the Pope, and like I did a match, and Trevor Murdoch's out there, and like these guys pull me aside when I'm done. They're like, God, thanks, Hal, you're really good, and like. That's still insane to me that these guys that like have done so much bigger things than me, much better things than me, you know, like go out of their way to be like, yeah, man, you're really good. Keep it up. Like, I'm a big fan. I'm a big, like, Aaron Stevens, Damian Sandow. Again, he's just always like so supportive. So like, oh my God, Sal, like, I want to work with you every night if I can. I'm just like, that's unreal to me. And that's the stuff that like I get to bring home to my kids. And it gets me over with my kids. Like, it validates me. Like, you know, like, hey, you know, like these guys that you watch on TV think I'm on their level. Like that's
and we're so proud of you, Sal, man. We're so proud of you that you made it that far, man. And I'm a big fan as well of your character, and I'm sure Vic is a big fan of you as well. So go ahead, take it away, Vic, before we let Sal go.
you mentioned about your stellar career, about you've talked to all these guys and they've been so supportive. Let's get to the dirt. Name
All right.
some of the guys. Name some of the guys who are like complete assholes. You had to run into a couple of them.
Yeah. So when I first broke into Wild Side, like I had said, it was a WCW developmental, and there was a lot, especially in that time too. A lot of those guys were just, I mean, they were signed to WCW, and you couldn't breathe the same air as them. Kid Romeo is the first one off the top of my head. And it's funny because at the time he was teaming with Elix Skipper, complete opposite. I can't say enough nice things about Elix Skipper. I mean, and this is fresh off like the Team Canada run where he was on TV with Lance Storm and the Cruiserweight Champion, this, that, and the third. Kid Romeo, you couldn't tell him anything. It didn't matter. Like, hi, hi, good to see you. No, it's not. All right, man, cool. It's not good to see you. Yes, it is. I don't know what you want from me, man. Like, he was a tough guy to be around.
Did you ever win the television championship? Because I remember he had a couple of matches for the title. Like,
yeah. I mean, he was in the mix some, but he never won it, and I'm not upset about that at the least. I'll say the first few times I dealt with Raven was awful. But then Raven, for whatever, I grew on Raven, and there was a complete 180. But the first show I did with Raven, I was in some 10-man elimination match. That the run sheet had like 10 minutes. And I was like, there's no way we're going to be you got to do 9 eliminations in 10 minutes. Like, this isn't going to work. Plus, the booker's in the match. It comes down to him and I. So I was just like, well, I'm going to kind of just go until the booker says we got to go. So we end up doing this 10-minute match, ends up being a 25-minute match or whatever, just because we had so many guys involved. And I get to the back, and Raven furious. I had to go wet my hair twice. Ridiculous. Nobody even cares about you. They came to see me. And I was just like, oh, man. Like, that was a bitter pill to swallow just because I was a big Raven fan. And I let him give us the lecture. I didn't interject. I didn't fight. And then the next time I saw him, I made sure, I was like, guys, please, whatever we do, just make sure we go our time. Like, I don't care if the match is good. I don't care if the match is bad. I don't care if we do anything. Just make sure whatever our time is, we hit our time. And we did. And Raven pulled me aside. He goes, you're one of the guys in that match. I said, yes, sir. And he goes, well, you made your time tonight. I said, yes, sir. He goes, thank you for listening. Hey, man, you're you, I'm me. I get the score of the game. And after that, he was the complete opposite, where he was just always very like, let me give you let me give you some pointers. Let me help you. My favorite, my Raven impression is, get a ring jacket, which was his, you knew you were over if that was Raven's advice to you. Right? In Raven's brain, not enough guys had ring jackets, but he didn't want everybody to have a ring jacket, just the guys he liked. So if you were in a locker room with Raven and you see him pull him aside, maybe he's get a ring jacket. Like, oh, Raven likes this guy. Trying to think, Disco is kind of what you saw on TV. There was a lot of times, especially at TNA, where like guys were getting dark matches and tryouts, and Disco would just have the shovel out ready to bury these guys before they even had a chance to get over. Or before they even had their match, I'd hear Disco kind of like, if this guy sells a move for more than 10 seconds, I'll give you $400. It's like, hey, well, if they give you 4 minutes and they tell you to have an X Division style match, I guarantee they're not going to sell for 10 seconds. They don't have the time to do that, like, go get yourself over. Also, we're not going to give you the time to do that. Also, tell a story, and like it's one of those catch-22s in wrestling where, you know, you're kind of, you can't win either way and you can't please everybody. So you kind of just got to do what you think is best for you at that point.
So what does the future hold for your career?
Oh, man. Like I said before, if you'd have told me at the beginning of 2019, I'd be in a featured role at NWA, and having TV title match Hope, and, you know, having on, like, the last set of tapings, I think we shot 8 weeks of TV and I was on 7 of them. Like, if you'd have told me that, I'd have slapped you in the face and not felt bad. You woken up from your insanity. So there's no telling. I mean, like, and I know that's a cheap generic out, but like, I know as long as you know, the NWA keeps putting me in these positive positions, like, so at the last set of tapings, I end up having a singles match with Colby Corino, which there was a lot of stakes involved. I'm not going to spoil it, but just know that, like, this was a big time match. And Homicide, another guy I've known for, you know, forever now, he was the agent on the match. And so, like, I know it's a big deal. Like, the way it was laid out on the screen, the way it was laid out on the paper, the position of this match, I already knew, like, this is a gigantic deal. I'm getting ready to go out. Like, I got headphones on. I'm getting in my place. Homicide pulls me aside. He's like, hey, B, let me tell you something. Hey, what's up, Homicide? He goes, yo. I know you know this is a big deal, but I really need you to hit a home run. Like, fuck. No pressure, Bambino. Great, right? They're like, this is seconds before I go out. All right, man. So Colby and I go out, and it's one of those matches that I honestly think, like, 10 years from now, I'm still going to be showing people. Like, I was really, really, really proud of this match. And I get to the back, and Homicide pulls me aside. He's like, oh, my God, yo, I asked for a home run. You gave me a grand slam, son. I'm like, you know, thank you. He goes, yeah, especially because, like, the next pay-per-view we have, the 73rd anniversary, we're going to be in the Chase in St. Louis. And he's like, yo, we're going to a new market, man. They're going to be on fire for you. And so, like, I could, if you would have told me the day before that was going to happen, again, full 5 fingers to the face because you're getting flat. Like, that's not going to be a thing. And here I am, like, oh, wow, like, this is a gigantic deal. So, like, I truly feel like as long as my body holds up, there's my ceiling's limitless. Like, in one set of tapings, I had a 3-way with Colby Corino and PJ Hawks. That was the modern style, you know, like, we had 6 minutes and it's a 3-way and they wanted all of it. God, they got all of it. Bing, bang, bing, bang, boom. Here, you know, you deal. Brother comes in, duck one. Here we go. Zip, zap, zip, zap, zip. Fast forward a day and I'm doing a completely different style TV match with the Pope, where it's more WWE style, where it's, you know, we're not going to do a lot, but what we're going to do counts. We got to let stuff register and sink in. And we've only got 7 minutes to do that, but we also got to tell this story. And both times I get to the back and everybody's, you know, yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. So, like, as far as my future goes, like, I've shown, like, there's not a situation that you can't put Sal Rinauro, the character, in and I not flourish. So, like, as long as the opportunity's there, I have enough faith in myself to succeed and exceed expectations. I really, really hope, and this is like my one big, like, bucket list thing that, like, I think is tangible and palpable, is I really want a shot at the world title. I love to get a shot at the NWA world title. Like, I grew up, like I said, like, there's not a point in my life where I wasn't a wrestling guy. Like, it's just been my thing. And, like, I remember learning about NWA through the after mags, you know, just flipping through and you know, because, like, I didn't have cable when I was younger. So like, that's how I got all my information that wasn't WWE was through the aftermath. So, you know, finding out about Flair and Dusty and Nikita and Magnum TA and the Horseman, the Rock and Rolls, and, you know, the list goes on and on and on. I found out about all that through the aftermath, and then going to the video store and renting the Crockett Cup and renting Starrcade. So like the NWA titles, while it's not what it was in '85, like it's still a big deal to me. And like I've been on show. I was on a show when Steve Corino was NWA World Champion. I was on shows when Sabu was the NWA World Champion. I did all those NWA TNA pay-per-views where the NWA title was the title to get. You know, I've been on shows even, you know, with Adam Pearce as the NWA World Champion, Colt Cabana as the NWA World Champion. So like, it's been a big thing throughout my life and my career. So to get a shot at the NWA World title, that's the, you know, that's the white whale for me. That's the Moby Dick. That's the one I really want to get an opportunity just to be in the ring with the 10 pounds of gold on the line. So that's the short answer to your question.
So where can our listeners connect with you and witness your quest for the gold?
Well, NWA Powerrr is on Fight TV every Tuesday, new episode, 6:05. You can follow me on Twitter, Sal Rinauro, last name Rinauro, a lot of vowels. Pat Sajak loves me. You can follow me on Instagram, Sal_Rinauro. Facebook, Sal Rinauro. I'm super clever with my names, I know. Yeah, ProWrestlingTees.com / you guessed it, Sal Rinauro. I try to be, I'm not really good with social media. I've got my buddies, you know, constantly on. You got to tweet something today. It's been a day. You got to post something today. It's been a day. So I'm trying to be more active with the social medias. But you know, my handles are pretty simple, pretty fine.
TJ, do you have any more questions?
No, thank you so much, Sal Rinauro, for joining us on the 5-Star Revolution podcast. We appreciate your time. It was a pleasure. And thank you so much for talking about your career.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you. Take care of yourself.
Too.
Yeah, bye-bye.